This is Inside Pro Wrestling on 104.5 The Zone with Jerry Jarrett and Tate Matthews. I'm David Reed on the hotline. Dirty Dutch Mantell. Dutch, you and Jerry have a relationship that goes back at least 30, maybe even 40 years. You've got to share with us one of the more memorable stories that you can recall from working for Jerry over those years.
Jerry, you remember the time you booked us in that prison in LaGrange, Kentucky?
Wait a minute, what? I have to hear this story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, Jerry called me in one day. He said, Dutch? I said, yep. He says, listen, I got a call from the Kentucky Correctional Department. I said, okay. And he says, listen, I booked the show in Kentucky Prison in LaGrange, Kentucky. I said, oh, really? Yeah, and I like you. I like you and Bill Dundee. And the Fantastics to go up there and wrestle on that card. It was on a Tuesday afternoon, I still remember it. And the show was going to start at 2 o'clock, which would give us time to do that afternoon show at the prison and then go to Louisville that night. I said, okay. In my book, I tell this whole story of getting up early and going up there, and it was so cold. It was like February. It was cold. It was like 20 degrees outside, cold. Driving up there, driving up to that prison. And the story, the chapter in my book is my wonderful visit to Shawshank. And I remember asking Dundee on the way up, I said, hey, Bill. He said, yeah. I said, what kind of prison is this? He said, mate, you know, it's just minimum security, you know, like petty theft and stuff like that. I said, okay. We drove up and opened that door. And before we got in there, our bags and my person, you know, me and Bill both, we were like searched 3 times before we got inside the prison. You know, they had one desk here. We threw all the stuff out, blah, blah, blah. I had the bullwhip in there. They said, what is this? I said, what I take to the ring. They said, well, you can't take that. I said, okay. I had to leave it up front. Like a bullwhip is going to, I guess, endanger something. And we walked, finally, after we got searched 3 times in our bags, then all of a sudden they slammed those big iron gates shut, and they took us through this big courtyard, and we saw those inmates looking at us, and there were no guards there. It was a trustee with us. There were no guards at all.
What?
And took us in this big gymnasium, this big rec center, and put us in a room. Finally, when the people started coming in, not the people, the inmates, they was coming in, and I looked out there, and I've always heard this in a prison that like the Aryan Nation were all together. They had no chairs. They just stood around in the ring and watched us. And no guards. I can't say that enough. No guards out there. So if something had happened, we were on our own. And all the Aryan Nation guys, they stayed in one side. They were looking at all the black guys and the Hispanic guys. Of course, you know, then you got all the Nation of Islam guys, the black guys. They're looking at the other groups. And then you had the Latino guys. And none of them like interacted at all.
So they were all looking in the ring for the action. You guys were in the ring looking in the crowd for all the action.
You're not kidding. And I look at a guard, and he's behind another wall somewhere else. He couldn't even get there somehow.
Now, I didn't hear you mention Jerry. Did he skip out on this trip and stay back in Hendersonville, or did he go with you?
Well, I'll give you one guess.
I'm guessing he was in Louisville.
But anyway, I got to tell you about this one guy, and I remember I asked Dundee, I said, what kind of prison is it? He said, oh, it's like minimum security, you know, nothing bad. So I kept asking this trustee, I said, hey, what's brother in here for? He said, oh, man, he's attempted murder. What? Yeah, what's this guy? He did something. He robbed a bank. He did something else. Okay. But they had one white guy standing out in this middle of this big gym, and he was as tall as Undertaker. He's not 6'10", had long hair, and had a cap turned backwards and sunglasses on with his arms folded, just standing all by himself. The black guys weren't around him. The Hispanic guys weren't around him. The white guy left him alone. I said, hey, and I asked the trustee, I said, hey, brother, what's that big tall guy? What's he in here for? He said, oh, he's... And how much time does he have? He said, oh, he's got 268 years. I said, what? He said, yep. I said, what did he do? Kill the president? He said, no, he killed 5 or 6 people or something. He was a biker from somewhere, eastern Kentucky somewhere, that, you know, some bikers tried to kill him, so he went back the next night and killed 5 or 6 of them. So
talk about a tough crowd.
I could not wait to get out of that thing. And when I left, I said, Jerry Jarrett will never, ever convince me to go back inside a prison again at all.
Now,
and the next time I saw Jerry said, well, Dutch, how'd you enjoy it? I said, it was great, man. Great. Can't wait to go back.
That's Dutch Mantell on Inside Pro Wrestling on 104.5 The Zone. Now, I feel pretty confident had something broken out in that prison that Dutch Mantell and superstar Bill Dundee probably could have held their own. The Fantastics, on the other hand, let's just say for Tommy Rogers and Bobby Fulton, the last place that I would want to be wearing those little bow ties and those little trunks would be prison. The only place on the radio you're getting stories like that is every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. with Inside Pro Wrestling with Jerry Jarrett on 104.5 The Zone and online at 1045thezone.com. Of course, you can also pick up Dutch's books, The World According to Dutch, and his latest, Tales from a Dirt Road. Those are available on DutchMantell.com.
Go between the ropes with today's stars and the all-time legends. Inside Pro Wrestling with Jerry Jarrett. Presented by Hendersonville Auto Brokers. Saturday mornings at 11 on 104.5 The Zone.